All right, so I would like you to copy these items down or feel free to use your notes as you complete this activity. Number 1 and 2, I want you to be able to find the slope of the line through each of these pairs of points. So go ahead, begin working on that, and then I will take you through the explanation. Okay, so on number 1, what remember we need to do is be able to subtract the y coordinates and subtract the x coordinates. Now you can see that I already have it into the frame here, but what I want to do is make sure that if you start with y2 on top, which is clearly what I did here, I started with 8, you would definitely need to follow up and also start with that same second ordered pair and then subtract the first ordered pair on the bottom, which is why I have it set up this way. You can see that in algebra, what I need to do is fix those two signs back to back and they become a positive. And then I'm adding 8 and 13, I get 21 over -9. And then I'm just simply reducing that right there. And I end up getting the slope is -7/3. So I would like you to pause and then try number 2. So number 2, we have the same setup. We would like to be able to subtract the y's and subtract the x's. And now let's go ahead and look and see what we get. We get 5 minus 0, which is, I'm sorry, 5 minus 5, which is 0. And then 8 minus 6, which is 2. And if you remember, this is like saying I'm choosing to eat 0 donuts out of 2 donuts in front of me. So that is possible. We just simplify that to be a 0. So remember that 0 on top is okay. That just equals 0. But it's not okay. It's no if 0 is on the bottom. And that's what gives us that undefined value. So the slope in this case is just going to be 0. Now we are supposed to be writing the slope-intercept form of the equation given the slope and the y-intercept. So pause and work on that. Okay, so in this case, now we've got slope-intercept form, which we need to be able to know is y equals mx plus b. And the slope in this case is -1/2, and that represents the m. So that's just going to go right here in front of the x, and the y-intercept is going to be -3, and that just goes here. Now remember though, we are not allowed to have two signs back to back, so we need to simplify that. So y equals -1/2 x minus 3. So go ahead and try number 4. Okay, so number 4 is a little bit different. We can try to set it up like this, but notice what our slope is. It's undefined, which means that what we have when we have an undefined slope is that we have a vertical line. And so we are not going to have a diagonal line, so we are not going to be able to write it in y equals mx plus b. In fact, it may not even, some vertical lines don't even have a y-intercept. The lucky part is that this y-intercept is 6. So if you think about what that looks like as an ordered pair, the y-intercept in the ordered pair is 0, 6. And this kind of goes with that Hoy-Vux strategy. Remember that if it's a horizontal line, the slope is 0 and the equation is y equals the y-coordinate. If it is a vertical line, the slope is undefined and it's x equals the x-coordinate. Well, we knew our slope was undefined, which means that we have a vertical line, which means that the equation is going to be x equals the x-coordinate of that point. So that is the equation of my line. So go ahead and try 5 and 6. All right, number 5, it says write the point slope form. So I wrote that above that. Through the point 3, 5. Now remember that this is the x. So the x coordinate goes alongside the x, and then the y coordinate, which would be 5, is going to go here at the end. And the slope is going to be 7/3, and that just goes right here in front. And it just said, write the point slope form. So I'm done. I don't need to simplify any further because there's no two signs back to back. Now what I could do that is write it without all the boxes. So my final answer would be y equals 7/3 x minus 3 plus 5. And then that's what I would box to simplify my final answer. So go ahead and try that with number 6. All right, so now what we're going to do is, again, do the same thing. I am going to put in the x with -4. I'm going to put the y at the end. And then my slope is 2, and then that's going to go right here. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just following and plugging in with the formula here. And so y equals 2. X, remember you can't have two signs back to back. All right, so a positive and a negative, that's just going to simplify to that negative. So x minus 4. Oh, no, that's not right because this formula right here, let's take a look at that. That is always x minus. So we have a double negative right here. So that should be a plus, x plus 4, and then minus 7. You just go back and double check. Yeah, see that the formula is x minus here. Just wanting to make sure that I went back and I instructed you those on those correctly. All right, so now let's try the slope-intercept form, trying number 7 and 8. So number 7, notice that it's in point slope form. So really all we need to do is just add the 2. Bring this down here. So we just need to isolate the y. And I have -2 and then x plus 3. And then this plus 2 at the end is right here. That's where that went. And then now what I need to do is just distribute because I noticed that in this form, there's no parentheses. So I get y equals -2x because I'm distributing here. And then -2 times +3 is -6. And then I've got to carry down my +2. And then notice that we need to combine like terms here. So we get y equals -2x minus 4. And that is going to be my final answer. So I want you to pause and try number 8. All right, so the same thing is kind of happening here. We need to move this +3 over to the other side by subtracting it. So what I get now is y is equal to 4/5 x plus 10 minus 3. So what I'm going to do is distribute the 4/5 times x, and that's just going to give me 4/5 x. And then I'm going to take my 4/5 and I'm going to multiply it by 10. So if you can kind of see the work over here, I like to reduce ahead of time. You definitely don't have to, but make sure that you're multiplying those fractions right. And so I get 8 as my answer after I distribute that. So that's +8. And then I have this -3 that I had that I'm just carrying down. So now I need to simplify this. So I get y is equal to 4/5 x plus 5. So now let's take a look. I want you to do number 9. All right, in number 9 it said write the slope intercept form, but they only give us 2 points. So one of the things that we need to do is be able to find the slope. So hopefully you're getting better at finding the slope, which says to subtract the y, so -3 minus -1 over -4 minus 0. And we're going to simplify that. It's -3. We've got to simplify our double negative. That becomes a plus. And then -4 minus 0 is just simply -4. So I'm just taking one algebraic step at a time, one simplifying step at a time. So I get -2 over -4, and that just simply reduces to +1/2. Well, that's important because that's my slope. So once I'm here, I can identify that I have a point and the slope. So I'm going to utilize point slope form. So I'm going to go back. You refer to your notes, right? The slope goes here. The x coordinate, it could be it doesn't matter which point you pick. I'm just going to pick the first one. So x minus 0, and then the y coordinate goes at the end. And then now I am just simply reducing that and simplifying it. So 1/2 x minus 0 is just x, and a positive and a negative back to back make it a negative. And so I'm just going to now rewrite that without the parentheses. So y equals 1/2 x minus 1. So now try 10. And then, okay, let's go ahead and look at, remember the first step is to identify the slope. So I'm going to have 11 minus 5 over 4 minus -4. So 11 minus 5 is going to give me a 6. I've got a double negative here, which makes this 4 plus 4, which is 8. Then I just simply need to reduce that. So if you're having trouble reducing, just think about what's a number that goes into 6 and 8. They're both even. You can divide by 2. And so we end up getting 3/4 as our slope. So now what I'm going to do is plug it into point slope form, which says y equals your slope times x minus the x coordinate. So I'm going to use this x coordinate. Okay. Notice though I'm going to have to simplify that. And then I can't just use the x of one and the y of the other. If I start with the x coordinate of -4, I need to finish with the y coordinate. Choose a different color here. I have to choose a y coordinate of the same ordered pair. So that's +5. So what we're going to do here is just go ahead and simplify that. So I've got y equals 3/4 x plus 4 plus 5. Now the problem is they told me I needed slope-intercept form. So that just means that I am going to have to go ahead and distribute. So I get y is equal to 3/4 x. If I take, I'm going to do my math up here. If I take 3/4 times 4 over 1, that's just going to be able to simplify to the number 3. So when I do 3/4 times 4, I get +3. And then you can't forget about your +5 at the end. Well, I've got to now combine like terms. So I'm going to go backwards over here, guys. I'm going to go to the left. So I'm going to write this as y equals 3/4 x plus 8, and then be able to box my final answer.